Beyond the Sky and the Earth, Form 5, English Language. In the lesson, you will learn about the author and reasons behind her journey into Bhutan, why the country has been named the happiest in Asia, culture and background of Bhutan, how Zepa conveys her mixed feelings about the country, how the writer uses language to perform the dual roles of observer and participant, finally, how to answer questions properly. Yes, now you can see a picture. There's a lady. Who's that? Yes, she is Jamie Zepa, the writer of this lesson, Beyond the Sky and the Earth. Here I have mentioned some information, right? I have mentioned some information which is important as to know about this Jamie Zepa. Right? Let's move to this first. I want you to read this with me, right? Let's start. 1, 2, 3. Jamie Zepa is a Canadian writer and college professor. A Journey into Bhutan is an autobiography that recounts experiences on a 2-year assignment as an English lecturer in the mountainous kingdom of Bhutan. Beyond the Sky and the Earth won Banff Mountain Book Festival Award for adventure travel writing. She lived in Bhutan for 9 years and She converted from Catholicism to Buddhism. This is the brief introduction about the author of Beyond the Sky and the Earth, Jamie Zepa. Is that clear? Okay, good. Yes, it's time to read the lesson. So, dear students, this is what I want you to do now. Keep a pose and come with your English language anthology. Go and come with that. Okay, I feel now you are back with your book, right? Again, you have to keep a pose here to read the lesson. Now, your book, it is with you now. It's in your hand. Turn the page 1, 3, 4 there. 1, 3, 4. Yes. Paying enough attention, right? Paying enough attention. I want you to read the lesson well. I'm telling you like this because without having any understanding, right? Without having any understanding about the lesson, if you are going to just watch this, it isn't fruitful. Okay? You also have to have some kind of idea about what you are being taught, right? About what you are being taught by the teacher now. Okay, it's because of that. Keep a pause. Before moving to the next one, I want you to read it well. Okay, start it now. Yes, you all are back after reading the lesson Beyond the Sky and the Earth. I'm really happy about it. Though I'm invisible, your teacher is invisible today. You have done what you have been asked to do. I'm really happy about that. Okay? Right. Now tell me about what? Tell me about what this lesson is. Simply we can say it's about the country Bhutan. Now who talks about the experiences she gained when she was in Bhutan? Yes, Jimmy Zipper. Okay, Jimmy Zipper. She is the author of this lesson Beyond the Sky and the Earth, and in this lesson she talks about her experiences she gained when she was in the Asian country Bhutan. Is that clear? Did you understand it clearly? Okay, let's read this. Bhutan is in Asia. You know that Bhutan is one of Asian countries. It is a landlocked country. Now I have a question. What is a landlocked country? Yes? Try to guess the answer. A landlocked country means a country that is surrounded. A country that is surrounded by land. It doesn't have any borders with the sea. Is that clear? Now when we talk about this country Bhutan even, right, it is surrounded by land, not with the sea. Okay, right. Due to being in the Himalayas, the region is extremely high and suffers from extreme temperature. You know that the countries which are near the equator, right? The countries which are near the equator, they have high temperature, right? As this Bhutan, right? It is in the Himalayas. You know that. We don't want to argue. Right? We don't want to argue about the temperature there. That's why it tells us the region is extremely high and suffers from extreme temperature. Got it? Just got the answer, yes. Okay. Beyond the Sky and the Earth, a journey into Bhutan. Here, you can clearly see I have mentioned some key important information about the lesson. Let's move to one by one. What's the first one? G-E-N-R-E. How do we pronounce it? How is it pronounced? Genre. Right? Genre means the type of writing. Then what's the type of this Beyond the Sky and the Earth? It's an autobiography, or else we can say or, right? Autobiography, or we can say memoir. It's a memoir. Then audience. When we talk about audience, the audience is travel enthusiasts. Okay, those who like to travel. Next one is, what's the purpose? What's this? What's the purpose? What's the purpose of whom? What's the purpose of the writer of this? What's the purpose? Yes, she wants to share. She wants to retell her experiences in Bhutan. When we talk about the context, it means beyond the sky and the earth. The title of the book is derived from an expression thankfulness in the Bhutanese language, which means, then what's the meaning of that? I'm thankful to you beyond the earth and sky. Understood? Okay. Yes, this is the rest of the previous slide, right? Previous information. Here, the first one is themes. What are the themes we can find in the lesson Beyond the Sky and the Earth? The first one is exploring different cultures and places. The other one is new beginnings. And at the same time, it talks about change too. Okay, when we talk about language today, right? When we talk about the language of this lesson, we can say it is much factual, informative language. Factual, informative language is there. How can we say like that? Because it gives lots of description, right? It gives lots of description about the country, people, right? What you experienced there using some language techniques even. Don't worry, we talk about language techniques separately. Okay, then we can see some carefully chosen adjectives and verbs to Zepa she has used to write her autobiography. Okay, not only that, there she has mentioned some traditional names of Bhutan and its districts. The way she has used, right, the way she has used her language is very poetic and suggestive of the beauty, right, suggestive of the beauty to be found there. Where? In Bhutan. Yes, this is about structure of your lesson Beyond the Sky and the Earth. Now you have to go through this slide leisurely. I'm going to give you some information which hasn't been mentioned on slide. When we talk about the structure there, we can see Zepa, she has used first and third person narrative there. To talk about her personal experiences, there she has used first person narrative to reflect. As we have already discussed, her own experiences. However, when we move to factual information, there, right, when we talk about factual information there about Bhutan, the Bhutanese people and their culture, they are written, right, they are written in third person. The other point is chronological paragraphs. What are chronological paragraphs? The paragraphs which are written according to time, right? As examples I can give like this: in my first night, the next morning. These are the examples for chronological paragraphs. Here she guides, right? Using chronological paragraphs, Zepa, she guides the reader through Zepa's experience in Bhutan from start to finish. Did you understand? Did you understand it? What I explained? Okay, good. This is about linguistic techniques. It means language techniques which have been used in your lesson Beyond the Sky and the Earth. Now you can see I have mentioned 3 techniques there. What are those? Repetition, personification, and list of 3. When we talk about linguistic techniques, right, once you are given an essay type question to answer, there you know you have to talk about techniques. By that time, what you have to do is, after writing these techniques, you have to say, you have to mention the purpose of using these linguistic techniques. If you just say, we can see the techniques, repetition, personification, list of 3, etc. If you are going to just mention linguistic techniques, your answer script, right? For an example, let's take it to, you are writing an answer at the exam. If you just mention, sorry to say, we can't give you full marks, right? There you have to prove, right? You have to prove why linguistic techniques have been used in any piece of writing. Is that clear? I'll just show, right, as an aid to you. I'll show how you have to do it. It's like this, right? When we talk about repetition and personification, I'm going to combine these 2 and explain. When we talk about, let's move to repetition first. On the other side of the mountains are mountains, more mountains, and mountains again. There, the word mountains is repeated throughout the extract to remind the reader of the isolated setting. Isolated setting of where? In Bhutan. Then when we talk about personification, it also creates a feeling of wonderment and relates to the title Beyond the Sky. Got it? Now did you understand? Did you understand how to answer for an essay type question describing these techniques? Okay, good. Let's move to this list of 3. Here, she uses list of 3. Move to this example, right? To emphasize, right? To emphasize how far she has traveled. It gives feeling of isolation again, isolation and remoteness. Is that clear? Okay, good. Another 3 linguistic techniques you can see on this slide. What are those? Facts, metaphors, imagery. Now here I'm not going to explain anything about these facts and why they have been used in the piece of writing. Here I want you to think why they have been used in this lesson, Beyond Sky and the Earth, right? You have to think and answer, right? You have to think and answer. Now at the end of the lesson I have included an essay type question, right? There I want you to think well, right? Why these linguistic techniques have been used, the purpose of those, and answer for that question well. I know that this is not the first time you deal with these techniques, and the mentioned techniques here, right? The mentioned techniques here, they are very simple. It's because of that, right? Because of that, as you have some kind of experience of answering essay type questions about linguistic techniques, I know that you will answer well for that question too. Okay, let's move to the next point. Yes, there are another 3 linguistic techniques. First one is syntactic listing. Next, passive sounds. The final one is adjectives. I know that when we talk about adjectives, you are familiar with that. You don't have any question based on that. But when you move to the first 2, right, I feel that you are somewhat confused with these 2. Don't worry, I'll explain what they are. When you talk about syntactic listing, here you can see the conjunction and it is used, right? When we talk about this syntactic listing, right, generally if any list is combined, right, if any list is combined using conjunctions to give some information by that time, we have to say syntactic listing technique it is used. Is that clear? Now let's move to this example. The winter air is thin and dry and very cold. Okay, using the conjunction and the list, right? The list is combined. Is that clear? Okay, there's another kind of listing, that is a syntactic. In front of this S we have to just add the letter A. ASYNDETIC. Repeat, ASYNDETIC. When we add letter A in front of this S, that becomes a syntactic listing. What is an asyntactic listing then? If we combine, right, if we combine any list using commas, by that time we can say that is a syntactic listing. The syntactic listing is used in a piece of writing. We can say it is used in this piece of writing, it's used in that. Got it? I hope you understood well the difference between syntactic listing, which is mentioned here, and the other listing what you learned from listening. Okay, that is a syntactic listing. Got it? Okay, let's move to the next one. Plosive sounds. Right, you can see here I have highlighted some words. Okay, you can see some words, they have been highlighted. Now try to guess why these are called, right, plosives, yeah. These words, they are with plosive sounds. If it is difficult, I'll help you like this, right? When we talk about plosive sounds, and also they are called stop sounds, right? They are formed by the air being completely blocked, right? By the air being completely blocked in the mouth and then suddenly released. Now try to pronounce these words by that time, right? With the definition of this, you can understand why these are called plosive sounds, right? Here, pinching, sharp, right? What happens then? Air being completely blocked in the mouth and then suddenly released. Is that clear? Now here you have to say why Zeppa, she has used this technique, plosive sounds there. Why? To indicate a harsh terrain there. T-E-R-R-A-I-N, terrain. What does it mean, terrain? Simply we can say land. Okay? To talk about harsh land, she has used the technique plosive sounds. Got it? Okay, good. I got the answer. Yes, teacher, yes. Happy about that. Yes, here it talks about Zeppa's experiences in Bhutan and her thoughts and feelings towards them. The first one is anxious. You can see I have mentioned an example under that. You have to explain why she anxious is, right? It's like this. Zeppa describes the moment she meets some of the other volunteers for breakfast. Both the other girls are experienced travelers, and with that the reader gets the impression that Zeppa is feeling very uneasy in her new environment. With this, Zeppa contrasts, right? Zeppa contrasts her own uncertainty and doubts with the other volunteers' enthusiasm and excitement. This next point is surprised. She describes in detail the typical Bhutanese buildings and the goods being sold in the shops, but at the same time she is surprised, shocked to see Bhutanese and Western cultures coming together in such remote place. That's how we have to describe here, surprised. Okay? Next point, Bhutanese people. The text suggests that she was amazed that in such an isolated place the people would speak impeccable English and be so well-mannered and polite. This gives us the impression that her experience challenged her preconceived stereotype of the Bhutanese people and culture. Got it? Okay. Yes, finally, there are some questions you to answer. When you talk about the first one, exploring language, there, right, under exploring language, there are 2 questions to answer. When we move to activity 3, there, you have to fill 3 grids. Don't miss any grid, right? You have to fill in these 3 grids. Finally, exam style question is there on the page 140. You have to answer for that question as well. So dear students, study well and goodbye.